Good evening. I'd like to call to order the meeting of Monday, October 28, 2024 to order. I ask all who have not signed in, please do so. Please turn off all cell phones and other electronic devices, and please conduct any private conversations in the hallway or outside. This meeting room is equipped with the inductive loop hearing assistance. Emergency exits can be found on your right and your left. This meeting is also live streamed through YouTube with text commenting available. At this time, if you please join the town board in the salute to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
See. First, I don't know. You can.
So you're doing the special first?
Well, that's what you wanted, right?
Yeah.
You wanted that, right?
Okay. Okay, real quick, I do have a couple announcements. First, the month of November, we have 8 employees celebrating birthdays this month. And I would like to, starting with the 3rd of November, Councilman Drew Cusimano, Scott Kimball on the 7th, our Highway Superintendent on the 11th, Ken Wilson on the 13th, Marlene Merman on the 15th, Jeff Rader on the 24th, Peg Bulow on the 29th, and Dave Knapp on the 30th. So happy birthday to all of those. In addition, the first meeting in both November and December will be a pay bills only meeting. The next town board meeting in person will be on Monday, November 25th. Reminder that early voting started this past Saturday, will end on Sunday, November the 3rd. Election day is November the 5th from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. And Veterans Appreciation Luncheon from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. here in the main meeting room on Thursday, November the 7th. All town departments will be closed on Monday, November 11th in observance of Veterans Day, and the American Legion Post 931 will conduct a Veterans Day ceremony here in the main meeting room at 11 a.m. At this time, we'll ask our town clerk, we have 2 public hearing notices. We'll ask town clerk to please read the public hearing notice.
Town of Victor 2024 special assessment rolls to collect sewer district capital recovery charges, sewer district capital improvement costs, lighting district O&M costs, and central water district capital improvement cost based on benefit formulas. Notice is hereby given that the 2024 special assessment rolls to collect Victor Consolidated Sewer District capital recovery charges and capital improvement costs, Central Water District capital improvement costs, and Lighting District operation and maintenance cost based on benefit formula have been completed and are filed in the office of the town clerk at 85 East Main Street, Victor, where they are available for inspection by any interested person during regular scheduled office hours. The town board of the town of Victor will hold a public hearing on said 2024 special assessment rolls at the Victor Town Hall, 85 East Main Street, Victor, New York, at 7 p.m. on Monday, October 28th, 2024, at which time all interested parties will be given an opportunity to be heard.
Thank you, Karen. And again, our town assessor, Marlene, is with us here this evening. Board members, if you have any questions for her at this time, we'll take an opportunity for members of the public, if they care to speak for or against this special assessment roll here that just was described by the town clerk. Again, I ask if there's any members of the public care to speak for or against this special assessment roll. Okay. Hearing no comments, we'll close public hearing number 1 and ask our town clerk to read public hearing number 2.
Notice is hereby given that the preliminary budget of the Town of Victor for the fiscal year 2025 has been completed and filed in the office of the Town Clerk at 85 East Main Street, Victor, New York, where it is available for inspection by any interested person during all regular scheduled office hours. The Town Board will hold a public hearing on said budget at the Victor Town Hall, 85 East Main Street, Victor, New York, at 7 p.m. on Monday, October 28th, 2024, at which time all interested parties will be given an opportunity to be heard. Written comments may also be directed to the Victor Town Clerk on or before 12 p.m. on the 28th of October, 2024.
Thank you, Karen, again. At this time, I'll introduce Rich O'Donnell, our Director of Finance, and he's going to provide an overview to members of the board and the members of the public.
Good evening, everyone. Again, I'm Rich O'Donnell, the Finance Director here for the Town of Victor. And I want to give a brief overview of the budget process as a whole. And in front of you is the final budget, which comes about from a bunch of departmental meetings that Jack and myself had with each department within the town. We've had several budget workshops between the town board members, all of which have been open to the public. And I have also taken some public input that has come to me directly. So the goal of when we create the budget is really to meet the current needs of the town and the residents, and with an eye on planning for the future, because as you know, we have a lot of things changing within the town of Victor. And again, one of the most important things is when I go into a budget with everybody is try to keep the tax levy the same as the prior year. It's a great starting point, and all the department heads know that, and that's how we initiate each of the meetings. This budget presented as a final does meet the tax levy with no increases whatsoever in the real property tax levy. And actually, the residents should see a little decrease in their taxes because new houses came on board during the year, which reduces their liabilities. I don't know that number. It doesn't come in until the end of the year because they actually keep building on the tax levy throughout the year to the end of 2024, so I'll find that out in early January. One other thing that we were able to do this year is allocate money towards reserves. As we all know, we need to address some aging infrastructure that we have with both the highway facility and the Parks and Recs lease that is going to expire in 3 years. So we had to do some planning, and we're able to put aside $880,000 towards reserves to meet some of those needs. So within the budget in front of you are 4 different separate funds that we have, which is the A, the B, the DB Highway Fund, and also the Parks Trust Fund. We also have 10 special districts, and those are mainly the sewer and water districts and the 8 street lighting districts that we have. So I just wanted to point out on this slide, this is where the tax levy, it's tough to see, is remaining at $3.7 million. I do estimate a tax rate of under $1.72, but again, that's estimated based on the new homes that come aboard, and then the total appropriations for the budget. So each of those line items give you the budget within each of the districts that we have, and then each of those funds separately. My next slide is basically a total revenue chart for the town as a whole. And as you can see, that consists of sales tax, which is by far our largest area. We're estimating that at $7.8 million for 2025, which represents 44% of the budget. We're finding sales tax is somewhat leveling off. The last couple of years, we've seen some nice increases in the sales tax. But the last couple of quarters, we haven't seen a real big increase whatsoever. So what the 7.8 represents of an average of the last 5 years of our sales tax. So it's a fairly conservative number, but that number keeps getting closer to the average because we've been having some really good years, year after year. Next is tax levies, and that's 26% of our budget. And that represents the real property tax levies and also the sewer and water levies that's in there. Grants and aids are 22% of our budget. And that's the money we get from the federal government, the state government, Ontario County, that help us with some of the services we provide. And the final is town services. And that's an area we're always looking, that's been increasing gradually over the last couple of years as we continue to look for new programs in the Parks and Recs program. Our courts revenue is increasing, along with permits for recycle center and permits for building and planning. So we're seeing a nice steady increase in each of those areas. Next slide is a basically overview of the whole expense breakdown for the town. And one area I want to make note, an adjustment needs to be made to the final draft that you have in the town board personnel item, which is the 100 item. That amount in your budget is $86,100. That's going to be reduced to $83,640. So that's one of the adjustments to be made. If you have any other adjustments as we go through tonight, that'll all be reflected in the final adopted budget when you vote on that. Some of the, obviously, the bigger items that we have are personnel expenses. We've done a nice job of keeping those in line. We have a STEP program that was approved along with a cost of living increase of 2% for the year for employees. Benefits also is a big concern. Obviously, medical, we see a big increase in the medical expenses that we have. They're anticipating a 12 to 15% increase. And one of the ways we've been kind of able to offset that a little bit is offer some different alternatives for employees, high deductible plans and so forth. So it shifts some of the risks that the town has in the way of expenses, but it still offers the employee an opportunity to get a different plan that meets their needs and their individual situations. Next up is the equipment, capital equipment. Each of the areas that have capital equipment needs has a long-term capital plan. That would be highway, building and planning, parks and recs, recycle center. So we all have at a minimum 5 years. Some plans are 10 years, some are 20, and some for even 30. So this year's budget mainly is $1.5 million in capital plans, of which most of that this year is coming from the highway plan. This is a higher year for highway as just a plan that we have in place for that. And I did want to note, we do have reserve funds for the highway equipment and the highway road projects that this year we're going to be using $915,000 out of the reserves to help fund the highway purchases for that. Next up is the contractual that we have. And we were able to this year through a lot of meetings with the department heads of keeping those line items at the levels of 2024. What's in there is basically utility costs, day-to-day operations of the different departments, and certain things that they need to buy to run their departments. And one of the things that everyone here at the town does a really good job at is really managing those expenses, looking to utilize state contracts as much as possible because they usually come with the best pricing that's out there. They follow we have a procurement policy that requires them over a certain dollar amount to get additional quotes, so they usually take the lowest cost that offers the best value for what they need. The largest item that's in contractual is typically in the highway department, which are the road projects that we need, that comes out of the contractual, and that's about $2.1 million. That's about a typical year to take care of all the needs that the highway department needs to keep up our roads to where they need to be. Parks Trust is another area that basically, we get revenue from that from house closing. So we get $2,000 a year from each house, new home that closes during the year. And that goes into the Parks Trust. And then that money is used wherever needed for capital items, such as like the dog park we did last year. We spent some significant money on producing that. So in the next couple of years, we don't see a lot of big items coming out of there. So hopefully the money that comes in from there, we can start building the reserves back in that fund. The other districts are significant is the sewer. What we have going for sewer for 2025 is we are rebuilding 2 pump stations and putting 4 new backup generators and a couple other different pump stations. So we're estimating the total cost of that to be $2.7 million. We did receive a grant for $700,000 to pay for that. So sometime during 2025, we're going to use a short-term bond to pay for those costs, and then in 2026, have a bond issued to pay off estimated $2 million. So one other good part of that is part of the grant we got, New York State's going to pay for half of the interest that we pay on the bond. So certainly a good thing for the town. The sewer district is the only area where the residents are going to see a little tax increase this year, just because some of the rising costs of the sewer upkeep has been significant. So we're proposing a rate of 1.9% increase in the sewer. That's about $15,000 total that's spread out between the various people that live in actually the sewer districts. Water and street lighting levies are going to remain at 2024 levels as those are funded fully. And then 2025, the big thing with the street lights is we're going to convert them all over to LEDs during the year. So the residents will start seeing lower usage charges for that just because of the LEDs. And then our next year's tax levy, we'll see a decline for the people that live in the sewer district or the street lighting districts. So in closing it, I think we meet the current needs of 2025. We're able to address some of our future needs through putting some money into reserves. And the big thing is our residents are going to see a slightly lower tax bill come January from the town. So, any questions at all, comments, changes?
Questions for Rich before we take public comments?
Well, my comment is simply, Rich, I so appreciate the last few years how we have worked at building up our reserves. I think the recent vote by the school district is indicative of having some money in reserve. The fact that they had that, yeah, it's taxpayers' money, but it's prudent to have money set aside. We know that we're going to have needs with our highway department. We know that we're going to continue to have needs with our equipment. And to be able to only have to take $210,000 in next year's operating budget when we're spending almost $1 million on equipment for the town is huge. I mean, it's pay me now or pay me later. And then I think having steady as we go certainly is much better for the residents than to see big spikes and big drops. And, it might look great to get reelected to have a huge drop in the tax rate, but then the following year, you got to come back. So I as a resident, appreciate this evenness as far as steady as we go. So I appreciate the work, and I also appreciate the work of our department chairs, working hard to be prudent and look at needs versus wants. I mean, we always deal with that in personal expenses as well as what we want for the town. So I think our employees do a really good job with that, and it's under yours and Jack's leadership. I appreciate that.
I just want to add on the reserves too. I mean, though we are using $2.2 million out of the highway, we still have that much for the future in the highway, so we're not depleting the whole
Right.
reserves we have in there. We've been really lucky with interest rates over the last couple of years. So somewhat the money we're using now is interest that we earned off those reserves. So I think going forward, the other thing I wanted to mention too, is back to the employees, is a lot of places, if you have in your budget, they need to spend it. I don't think anyone at this town goes with that attitude. They spend it if they need it. And I think that's really key as we see at the end of the year. You know, people see some excess money in the budget and say, I can spend it. But we kind of always, no one does that. And if they did, I would question the need versus the want. So that's a testament to the department managers at the town, so.
Any other questions for Rich?
Which I don't have any questions, and I don't have really a comment directed towards you, but more or less directed towards the public and the rest of the board. I think the budget's fantastic, and you do an amazing job, even on your day-to-day, through talking with you on a lot of stuff you do. We're well ahead of the curve on so many other towns. And the only thing I will say is that I'm disappointed because I feel that I can't vote in favor of the budget, because of the raises that are proposed and I believe will be supported by the rest of the town board to town board members. I think at the end of the day, as town board members, this is about public service, not about paychecks. At $20,000 a year right now, I think that's more than enough money for town board members to be making. You know, it's only a $400 increase, but cents add up, dollars add up, et cetera. You know, we have people who volunteer as firefighters, coaches at the food cupboard, Serenity House, et cetera. And I think we're very compensated for what we do as board members. And we're the highest paid town board members in the entire county. We're paid more than every single mayor in the county. I think it's just, in good conscience, I can't vote for a pay increase for myself. I think for our full-time elected officials, the raises are very well deserved. But for our town board members, like you said, I don't think it's a needed expense. I think that money could have gone to something much more deserving in our budget. You know, our town right now, actually, we offer less benefits when it comes to paid family leave and parental leave than people in the private sector. Parents are chosen, they have to use personal or sick time if they have a child, unless you are a woman who then files for disability, in which case you'll probably get 6 to 8 weeks signed off by your doctor, whereas in the private sector, you get 12 weeks of paid family leave. That's mandated by state law. I've had multiple employees reach out to me about putting paper towels back in the bathrooms. I think the $1,600 probably could have gone towards that. We could have invested in our parks with some of that money. And I think there's a lot of other more deserving endeavors. So while I think there's so much in the budget that's great, I wish I could vote for it. I'm going to be voting no tonight.
Thank you. Any other comments, board members? Rich, again, well done, and certainly appreciate you always identifying the support of our other department heads as well. So thank you.
Thank you all.
So at this time, does any members of the public care to speak for or against the 2025 town budget? Now is the time.
Good evening, David Wright, 33 Ketchum Street. I'm here tonight representing Victor Hiking Trails. Start out with a little history. We have been creating and maintaining trails in Victor for a little over 33 years. With partnership with the town, the state, and even going over to East Bloomfield with the park over there, Boughton Park. We maintain, out of the 70 miles of trails that we have, we maintain about 30 of those miles. Most of those are on private property, although there are some trails on some of the parks that the town parks doesn't have the equipment for, so we help them out on that. That takes a lot of equipment, and over the years, we've been very fortunate that our members have been donating and paying their membership dues, so we've been able to acquire all of the equipment that we need. But we can no longer rely on members to store the equipment in their garages. So last year, we made the decision to go to a self-service storage unit. It's over on Main Street Fishers. We're paying a monthly fee for that. And we feel it would be much better to put that money into trail improvements and new trails. So I'm asking the board to consider helping us out with the monthly payments for the storage of our equipment. We have a long-range plan where we will have a own facility, we'll be able to store that. We actually have a developer in town who's going to make a contribution of some land and a concrete pad, and we would put a building on top of that. But that's a couple years down the road before he can get all his paperwork done and get utilities in, get a road in, and get a pad for us. We did apply for a grant through the Rochester Community Foundation. That got turned down. We might be able to go back to them with some adjustments to that grant. We also applied to a grant, for a grant from New York State. I'm waiting to hear back on that. And if we don't, if we're not successful in getting that grant, we do have a Plan B where possibly we could build our own facility and, either a pole barn or, buy a kit and assemble it, almost IKEA. But those are some of the things that we are looking at, but they are down the road. So our immediate concern right now is the money that we're spending on self-storage rental unit. So just asking the board to consider helping us with that.
Dave,
I'll take any
for the record,
questions. Pardon?
what's the monthly?
$230 a month.
Thank you.
And how much square footage is that, Dave? How much square footage is that?
So it's a 10 by 30.
10 by 30.
There's no electricity in it, no heat. We have our trailer with 2 mowers on it. We have a backup mower in there. We purchased a bunch of shelving so we can put all of our materials organized on shelving. There's still some material lumber that we don't have in there. There just isn't room for everything.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
okay, thank you. And I will remember to come to the budget workshop next year.
Thank you, Dave. Are there any other members of the public care to speak for or against the 2025 town budget? Okay, hearing no further comments, entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next item on the agenda would be moving to the approval of meeting minutes. This would be for the October 15th town board meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those
Aye. Oh. I was not there, was I?
abstention?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes, abstain, please.
4 yeas and 1 abstain. Manifest number 20. Karen, when you get an opportunity.
Manifest number 20 in the amount of $257,828.94 has been reviewed by the Victor Town Board with the following accounts charged: General Townwide, General Outside Village, Highway Townwide, the lighting districts of Fishers, Brookwood Meadows, High Point, Cobblestone, Coyle Ridge, Rolling Meadows, Stone Lay, and Legacy at the Fairways, S&S Consolidated Sewer Fund, and Trust and Agency.
Thank you, Karen. And as we do every board meeting, we try to identify the expenditures that are in the range of or exceed $5,000. We'll start with payment number 1 to Accent Stripe, Town Road Striping. Payment number 2, Bluestone Creek, November rent, 5-star, September townwide Visa charges. Payment to Heidelberg Materials for road projects. Payment to LaBella Associates for professional services for the month of September. There are chargebacks to developers included in this invoice. Payment to MVP Healthcare for November health insurance. Noco Energy diesel fuel purchased. Phelps Guide Rail, rails for Valentine Road. And payment to RG&E for the September townwide utilities. Total of the above-mentioned expenditures is $236,026.08. Total town expenditures minus the previous mentioned expenditures equals $21,802.86. Board members, any questions on manifest number 20 here this evening? Hearing none, I entertain a motion to approve the payments thereof.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, abstract manifest number 20 is passed. Moving to privilege of the floor. Regarding 3 Highland Green. I don't
Want to
think,
speak, George, or?
George, you
You
can
don't have
speak
to.
or you don't have to speak. You look good, you look comfortable there, okay? We actually have a resolution regarding that. That's actually number 16. And I know for the public, the Stormwater Program Manager and our Highway Superintendent have both sent in a letter of support for the construction of this French drain with the execution of a hold harmless agreement, which I know our town clerk is, can't wait to offer to you for signatures. So. Moving to public comments, we'll start with Susie Mandrino. Anyone on YouTube? No comments. Okay. Public comments. Anyone sitting here this evening care to offer comments? Okay. In your packet, board members, you have the Highway Superintendent's report with highway and recycling with included, IT report, our Parks and Recreation and Citizen Advisory Committee report, a Planning and Building report. Thank you, Keith. My apologies, board members, for clouding the issue, but you'll get this on a regular basis as well. And at this time, we'll turn it over to Karen. I know our town clerk has something she wanted to.
Yes, I did put a copy of the final budget in each of the board members' mailboxes, so you all are presented with that. And also, I was given a petition of public support to widen the sidewalks on Maple Avenue. Randy Shea brought it in with signatures, and I did put a packet in each one of your mailboxes. So that's what I have.
Thank you, Karen. I have a few other additional items. Ontario County is offering a composting event on November the 2nd and the 9th for county residents to drop off pumpkins to compost from 8 a.m. to 11 over on Rawson Road at the recycling and highway facility. The historic Victor Homes will be the theme at 2 p.m. on November 10th as part of the Town Historians Lecture Series. High Point Business Park at 237 High Street Extension will be hosting a fall bash from 4 p.m. till late. And some very exciting possible additions to the mall corridor area of the town. We should start to see some applications start to go through the planning process here in the near future. And I want to thank Mr. Dave Wright. Last Monday evening, Susie Mandrino and myself were recognized as Friends of Victor Hiking Trail. So thank you for that recognition, sir. And that is all I have. Town board members, any reports of committees you may be attending? Okay. Moving to the resolutions this evening, starting resolution number 1. This is amending the 2024 budget for additional highway revenue. I'm going to thank the state of New York for increasing the amount of CHIPS money, so our highway superintendent and his team.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Number 2, budget transfers for operating funds.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Number 3, excuse me, contract with MVP to provide healthcare insurance for 2025.
So moved.
Second.
And unfortunately, this was the highest increase we've had since we've been in this consortium since 2010, so it was disappointing, but I think you've talked to most people. That seems to be the unfortunate trend with healthcare. So, all those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Resolution is passed. Number 4 is the authorization to renew the membership with the Builders Exchange for Robex Consortium benefits.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Number 5 is the dental insurance for next year. This is the rate, and this is, again, part of that Robex Consortium, which provides us the ability to buy in volume.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Number 6, contract with Robex for vision services.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Number 7, this is the 2025 employee health care contribution rates based on per plan and what those costs are.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Resolution number 8, this is to contract for Excelis to provide retiree health care insurance. I would just offer that I think 3 years ago, we went to Aetna, and things were looking very promising, and unfortunately, there is a Medicare reforms that have taken place. I think this is 2025 will be the third year that they've introduced these, and significant costs by all, and so we decided to go out to bid, and Aetna they did not even respond, so we're making a change to Excelis here for our post-65 employees.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Number 9, again, this is the Fund Healthcare Savings Accounts for employees enrolled in the high deductible plans.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Number 9 passes. Moving to number 10, authorization for the purchase of a heavy-duty 30-yard open container.
So moved.
Second.
I think we had a tie. I think, Mike, you got shut out.
Okay.
Give Mike the second. Mike gave the second. It was a tie for the,
Dave and I planned that.
yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Number 10 is passed. Number 11, Town of Victor supporting the Operation Green Light for veterans. I do want to, in advance, thank our park staff for adding this feature during the 7-day period that these green lights will be lit here in the Veterans Garden area.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Number 12 is setting a public hearing to authorize the submittal of a Restore New York grant application. Again, this is upon the recommendation of the State of New York Empire State Development. The government must apply for this, unlike the CFA applications where Wilmright submitted a grant application for the $4 million for the budget gap on the Lord and Taylor building. So the public hearing is one of the required steps in this grant application process.
Are we doing the grant application in-house? You know, or
No,
is?
no. We are, Harris Beach, Julie Marshall from Harris Beach
Okay.
is paying for that.
Okay. Are they gonna be at the meeting if there's public hearing?
Sure,
Or
Ju-
provide anything? I don't know.
Yep,
I don't know if they
yep.
need to be
Julie
there.
will be here. She even asked if we, in the past, if we've had a stenographer. Usually the way, I think Karen and her team record and that will be in a good place. So I told Julie we probably wouldn't go to those expenses, so.
So moved.
Wow, these
You can
ties,
give
they
that
keep
one.
happening.
You can give that one to her. She's learning well the way I try to push these along, so. she's learning.
Okay, well.
It's Monday Night Football, and we got a Steelers fan over here.
Well, I think people will be watching the baseball more than the
Yeah.
football game. This public hearing would take place on November 25th, 7 p.m. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And Number 13 is the after public hearing for the special assessment roll.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Number 13 passes. Moving to number 14, after public hearing for the adoption of the budget.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
And moving to number 15, authorization for Canandaigua National Bank to be accept 2025 tax
So
payments.
moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And as spoken about earlier, the hold harmless agreement for 3 Highland Green. Again, in your packet has the diagram, has the correspondence from our highway superintendent and our program manager from Stormwater. Questions, board members?
With Mark's approval of stormwater, I move that we accept it.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Public comment. Again, an opportunity for members of the public to address the town board. Hearing none, a motion to adjourn this
So
meeting.
moved.
Thank you.
Aye.
That was Alexis,
Alexis.
I seconded.
and someone on your right spoke up.
Did we all vote in favor?